Hello. Today I am going to show you how you can use concrete models and pictorial representations for multiplication. First, let's look at a scenario. Taylor collects baseball cards in a book. There are 28 pages in the book, and each page holds 12 cards. How many baseball cards can fit in the book altogether? First, I'm going to show you how we can use base 10 blocks as a concrete model to represent this situation. Then, I'm going to show you how we can use an area model as a pictorial representation for the same scenario. First, let's look at the manipulatives we'll be using as a concrete model. These are base 10 blocks. We will be using 1 unit. We'll be using a 10 long, and we will also be using a 100 flat. First, let's think about the values we'll be multiplying. We will be multiplying, going back to our scenario. There are 28 pages in a book, and each page holds 12 cards. So we will need to multiply 28 times 12. With the concrete model, we need to recall how 28 can be represented as 20 plus 8, and 12 can be represented as 10 plus 2. Knowing this, we're going to use this expanded notation to help us set up our base 10 blocks for the concrete model. I'm going to use this grid that I've simply taped out on a dry erase board to act as the frame for the concrete model. 28, which is 20 plus 8, is going to be represented along the top. So for 28, we need 2 longs and 8 units. So I'm going to place those along the top. Twelve is going to be represented along the side with 1 10 long and 2 units. Now, we're going to begin multiplying these values. First, I'm going to look along the side and this 10 long. This 10 long multiplied times this first 10 long along the top will give us a 100 flat. Now I'm going to take the 10 long again along the side and multiply it times the second 10 long across the top, which will give us another 100 flat. Back to the 10 long on the side. Now we're going to multiply that 10 long times the unit that's represented along the top. A 10 long times a unit will give us a 10 long. We're going to do that for each unit, which will give us a total of 8 longs. Now, I'm going to go back to the outside and look at my unit, my 1 unit here, and multiply it first times this 10 long. 1 unit times 10 long will give us a 10 long. 1 unit times 10 long will give us 10 long. 1 unit times 1 unit will give us 1 unit. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of these units because we're doing 1 unit times 1 unit, which is 1, 1 unit times 1, which is 1, 8 times. Now I'm going back to the outside of my model to multiply this last unit here times everything along the top. 1 unit times a 10 long is a 10 long. 1 unit times 10 long is 10 long. Then again we have 1 unit times 1 unit, 1 unit times 1 unit, so we will fill that in with 8 units. Now, we're going to go back to what we've represented inside of this model. We have 100, 200 flats, plus 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, plus 10, 20, 30, 40, plus 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. We're going to add up all of those values. To get a final value of 336. So we have just modeled how 28 times 12 is 336. Now, I'm going to show you how we can connect this concrete model to a pictorial representation. And our pictorial representation is going to be an area model. So once again, we need to remember and use the fact that we know that 28 is the same as 20 plus 8, and 12 is the same as 10 plus 2. I'm going to draw a rectangle. And along the top, I'm going to model 28 as 20 plus 8. Along the side, I'm going to model 12 as 10 plus 2. Now we're going to use what we know about area, which is we can find the area of a rectangle by multiplying the dimensions, length times width. For this first rectangle, we have a length of 20 and a width of 10. 20 times 10 is 200. Now I'm going to look at this rectangle here. It has a length of 8 and a width of 10. And 10 times 8 is 80. Now we're going to go down here to look at this rectangle, which has a length of 20 and a width of 2. 20 times 2 is 40. And for our last rectangle, we have a length of 8 and a width of 2, and 8 times 2 is 16. Now, we are simply going to add all of these values. 200 plus 80 plus 40 plus 16, which gives us 336. So now we have used an area model to represent the multiplication problem of 28 times 12 equals 336. Now, let's look at how similar these models are. In our pictorial representation, we have 200, which is represented here with our 200 flats. In the pictorial here, we have 80, which is represented with our 8 longs here. Then here in our pictorial, we have 40, which is represented here with our 4 10 longs. And then this last piece in our model is 16, which is represented here with our 16 units.